What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Terxsu, but y'all can just call me Sunny for real. Alright, so look, I know it's been a minute since I last uploaded. I'm sorry, but you try being a tall, nonchalant dreadhead on a college campus. There's a lot on my plate, but in all seriousness, we back. Quick heads up before we start. Channel memberships are finally live. You get custom emojis, a badge next to your name, and early access to videos. If you rock with the channel, I'd greatly appreciate it, for real. Obviously, it's not a requirement. You guys subbing and liking and commenting is already enough, but now let's get into it. At the end of The Last of Us, Joel makes that choice. He saves Ellie instead of letting the Fireflies try to make a cure. So here's the question. If that same exact situation happened, but it was Lee Everett and Clementine instead, would Lee have done the same thing? Alright, so before we even talk about what Lee would do, we gotta actually set the scene. We're talking the same hospital, same Fireflies, same everything. Ellie's knocked out cold, and the Fireflies decided that she's dying. They think they can make a cure by cutting out the cordyceps in her brain. Do they know if it'll work? Nah, not at all actually. The head surgeon literally says they think it might. That's their plan. Kill the only immune person alive and hope it turns into a vaccine. It's like betting your last dollar on a scratch off. And when it came to Joel, he didn't agree to any of this. He was hired to move her from one place to another. That's it. He didn't know what the plan was until they already had her prepped for surgery. They knock him out, throw him in a room, and when he wakes up, Marlene's sitting there acting like it's already done. She tells him it's for the greater good, but Joel wants them to find someone else. But Marlene tells him there is no one else. And that's where it hits him. He spent the entire game losing people, and now this group of washed scientists is about to take away the one person who actually gave him a reason to live again. So when we hear people say that Joel snapped, he didn't really snap. He just made the only choice left that didn't break him completely. Now, if you swap Joel with Lee, that's the setup he's walking into. Clem's unconscious, and these people tell him that she has to die for a maybe. They don't let her decide. They don't even hesitate. Same situation, same stakes, just a different man standing at the door. Joel's not this cold-blooded monster people like to paint him as. He's just a man who ran out of things to live for. When we meet him, he's been broken for 20 years. Lost his daughter on Outbreak Day, lost his brother for a while, lost his purpose completely. He's basically living on autopilot. He's doing jobs, he's surviving, he's never really looking too far ahead. So when Tess drags him into this mission to deliver Ellie, he doesn't see it as anything but work. He's trying to stay numb. But that changes the longer he's with Ellie. She's the first person in decades to pull him out of that fog. She reminds him of what it feels like to care about someone or something beyond survival. And I don't know about y'all, but I feel like the thing about Joel is, once he lets someone in, he's all in. That's why losing people hurts him so much. That's why he avoids getting close in the first place. It seems cliche, but can you really blame him? So think about it. When the Fireflies tell him Ellie's gonna die, that's the exact nightmare he spent his whole life trying to avoid. In his mind, he's thinking, they're gonna take my kid away from me again. It's so easy to look at the ending and say Joel was selfish. And yeah, maybe he was, but that's the part that makes him authentic. He's a broken man who's finally found a reason to care again. And he's not losing that. Lee is a completely different kind of man. When we meet him, he's literally on his way to prison for killing a guy. That's his intro, handcuffed in the back of a cop car. And it's kind of perfect because Lee's story starts at rock bottom. He doesn't get to be a hero. He's someone who already messed up and has to live with it. The thing that makes Lee special is that he doesn't try to rewrite who he is. He quietly works on improving himself. That's what Clementine brings out of him. She's this reminder that even in a world full of death, you can still protect something pure. And to me, that's what gives Lee a completely different energy from Joel. Joel protects Ellie out of fear of losing her, fear of being alone again. Lee protects Clem out of hope. Every choice he makes is about helping her survive in a way he never could, based on your choices. It's purpose. He's calm where Joel is angry. He's patient where Joel is guarded. Even when people around him fall apart, Lee always finds a way to stay level, based on your choices. He still kills when he has to, based on your choices. But there's thought behind it, based on your choices. There's always that moment where you see him weigh the decision, based on your choices. And that's why his connection to Clem feels distinct. He believes in her more than he believes in himself. That's what separates him from Joel. Joel couldn't really let Ellie grow up. Lee spent his entire story making sure Clementine would. So when you picture Lee in that hospital hallway, it's not rage that's driving him, it's conviction. If he saves her, it's to protect the future she represents. And that difference, that's everything. Alright, so We got the setup down. We got the same hospital, the same fireflies, the same rush timeline. Clem's unconscious. Surgery's already happening, and nobody gave her a say in any of it. Now let's throw Lee in Joel's spot. He's chilling, you know what I'm saying? And then he finds out Clementine's about to die for this long shot cure that may not even work. And now he's got to decide what to do. Lee is not impulsive. He doesn't rage out. He doesn't kick down doors and spray down an entire building because he's pissed off. He processes things based on your choices. And yeah, he still acts when he needs to, but he always tries to think it through first based on your choices. He's careful, but not slow. And when he makes a decision, he owns it. I'm not even gonna say based on your choices, you guys get it. And before I continue, we do know that Telltale's The Walking Dead is a choice-based game, so you can choose what Lee says or does. But his personality still has a shell. He still has a pre-written personality to himself and to his character. We don't really change much. Now, would Lee kill to protect Clem? Yeah, obviously, he already has. He's done way worse for way less. But the difference is that he does it with full awareness of what it means. He doesn't hide behind excuses. He doesn't tell himself that he did it for love. And he doesn't pretend that it's some sort of moral shield. If Lee were to shoot up a hospital full of doctors, he'd do it knowing damn well that it might have ruined the chance for a cure. And he'd still do it if he truly believed they were wrong for taking her choice away. Lee is big on agency. Every time something major happens in season 1, he always stops and gives Clem a say. Whether it's about teaching her to shoot, cutting her hair, talking about her parents, telling her who to trust, lesson after lesson, it's always a two-way street. So I think what really makes Lee dangerous in this situation isn't just that he cares about Clementine, it's that he respects her. He knows how smart she is, how aware, and the fact that the Fireflies made this choice without her would be enough for him to step in. Now, I still think Lee saves her. I'm just gonna say that now. But it's how he does it that matters. Joel acted on instinct. Lee would have paused, even for a second. He would have tried to talk to Marlene, maybe even looked for a middle ground. I could honestly see him doing something like waking Clementine up. No joke. If he had gotten to her in time, I fully believe Lee would have tried to give her the decision. And that tiny moment of trying to give her a voice changes the entire manner of what happens next. Joel's version of this scene feels like a rescue mission. Lee's version would feel like a blend of protection and mentorship. He's fighting for her right to have a life. And yeah, if they tried to stop him, he still would have put bullets in the walls. He would have still made it out with Clem in his arms, but it would have been out of faith. Faith in her. Faith in the idea that she still deserves to decide who she becomes. The ending might have looked similar, but the why would have been completely different. Alright, so now that we've laid this all out, who Joel is, who Lee is, how different they move, let's just say it. Lee is saving Clementine. To be honest, it's not even a debate. If she's unconscious, if she never got a choice, and if some group of strangers with guns tried to justify killing her with maybe we can make a cure, yeah, Lee's not letting that happen. Not like that. He's not even wired to let something like that slide. Lee doesn't gamble with other people's lives. That's the whole reason why he goes so hard for Clem in the first place. He doesn't know how long he has, and instead of wasting it trying to rewrite his past, he puts it all into her future. So even if the cure itself was real, like 100% confirmed, if Clementine wasn't the one to make that call, he's pulling her off that table himself. Now the other thing is, Lee wouldn't do it like Joel did. I genuinely think he wouldn't have torn through that hospital like an action movie protagonist. He'd try to talk it out, but if they didn't budge, yeah, Lee's not walking away from that. That's when I believe he's doing whatever he has to. And when it's done, he's carrying Clementine out of there quietly. He's simply making sure she gets to wake up. Now I have something that I believe would strike a deeper chord. I think Lee would tell her. Like, when she wakes up, he'd be honest. He wouldn't lie and say the Fireflies found others just like her. He'd sit her down, probably beat himself up a little, and say it straight. He'd tell her that they were gonna take her life, and he couldn't just let that happen without her choosing it. That's how much Lee respects her, and that's why I keep saying the hospital probably still burns either way, but it means something different. With Joel, it's about loss. With Lee, it's about belief. He believes in Clementine so much that he'd rather be hated for saving her than praised for letting her die. And that's the kind of love that doesn't need to be loud. Okay, so Lee saves Clementine. He gets her out. The Fireflies are either dead or scattered. The cure's off the table. Now what? This is where everything really splits from Joel. Joel lies straight to Ellie's face. Tells her there were dozens of immune kids and none of it worked. He doesn't even let her sit with the truth. And you can feel the awkwardness and distrust after that. Even Ellie doesn't buy it, but she doesn't push. Lee wouldn't do that. He might hesitate, he might try to soften it, but in the end, he'd tell her the truth. Even if it made her hate him, even if it broke her. He'd rather let her carry that pain honestly than protect himself with a lie. And the reason why I say that so confidently is because we've seen him do it before. As the episodes went on in season 1 of Telltale's The Walking Dead, the game allowed you as Lee to pick and choose who you wanted to tell about Lee's backstory. And eventually it got to the point where you could tell Clementine what you really did. And then, based on your choices, Clementine now knows that Lee was on his way to prison for murder. And think about the last episode, that was all about Lee choosing truth over comfort, over and over. He tells Clem she has to leave him, that he's not going to make it, that she has to shoot him or walk away. He doesn't lie to make her feel better. He just tells her what she needs to know, even if it kills them both on the inside. So imagine that same man now in Joel's shoes. And what's wild is that because he told her the truth, I think she would actually understand. Maybe not right away, but eventually, because that's what their whole relationship was built on. Trust. That's what makes the lie so painful in Joel's version. It's a crack in the foundation. With Lee, that foundation never breaks. Even if she's mad, even if it hurts, it's genuine, and they'd go through it together. Alright. Forget Joel, forget Lee. What would you do? Like, seriously, imagine you're in that chair. You get told this kid, the one you've been protecting, laughing with, surviving with, everything with, has to die. Do you let that happen? There's no guarantee. There's no working cure. Just maybe this saves the world. But the cost is someone who trusted you with everything. And I know some of y'all out there think, well, if she says yes, I'll respect her decision. Cool. But that's not the scenario. She's unconscious. You're the only one who knows what she'd even want. And they're not waiting for her to wake up. So again, what would you do? Drop it in the comments. Be honest. I don't want any performative hero shit for the greater good. None of that. No speeches. I'm trying to hear what you, as you are, would actually choose and why. Oh, me? Oh, I'm glad you asked. I don't care what some lab coats promised me. If I carried someone that far, through cities, clickers, hunters, everything, I'm not handing them over to die without their voice in it. Call it selfish, call it heroic, it doesn't matter. If I lose them and they didn't even get a choice, yeah, I couldn't live with that. So yeah, would Lee have done what Joel did? Kinda, but for a whole different reason. Joel acted out of fear. Lee, he would have done it with his whole chest to give Clem a life. If you made it this far, I appreciate you, for real. I'm sorry for the late upload, like really late, but it's okay. I'm gonna try my best. It's been your boy Sunny, but of course, y'all can call me Terxsu. And as always, I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace out.